Hi, my name is Shannon and I'm 37 years old. So I was I don't like to say victim of domestic violence, but I was at the time. It wasn't so much physical violence as it was emotional and mental, and just being completely controlled. My day-to-day life was made up of doing everything I needed to do to keep my partner calm and not go off and yell and scream and break things and abuse me and our children. And yeah, that's what my life was like for a long time. We met through his neighbour. At first, we were just friends. My brother was friends with him as well, but I was young, 17, and I was impressionable, and he was a bad boy. What girl doesn't want a bad boy occasionally? So yeah, I got involved with him, and I guess you can say I fell in love with him. I guess that's what happened. I followed him around like a lost puppy dog really for a while, and then as soon as I finished high school, I went and moved in with him and got pregnant with my son. There was a part of me that always knew that it wasn't right, the way I was being treated and the way we were living. But the part of me that thought it was my fault was just a bit louder. He was a lot louder. So yeah, I always thought that it was my fault, and if I was better, then our relationship would be better and our home life would be better, and if I just did everything right, it would be right. Well, if I cooked dinner at the right time, if it tasted right, if I did the washing correctly, if I came home at the right time, if I wasn't seeing the wrong people, like certain friends of mine he didn't like, so I wasn't allowed to see them anymore. If he was having a bad day and I was at work, he would call me up and demand that I come home. And he would just keep calling and calling until I ended up leaving work and coming home, just to make him a sandwich or, drive him somewhere, or, anything that he wanted me to do at the time. It was just all about control. I had to do what he wanted me to do, regardless of what it was or what I was doing, what I had to do. I had to work, he didn't work, so I was the one who had to make the money. But I still had to conform to him and what he wanted me to do as well. I think it was partly to do with the fact that he was just lazy. He'd always had everything done for him by his mother, who was a beautiful lady, and she tried her best, but she did everything for him, and he never had to do anything for himself. And so when I met him, I took on that role of doing everything for him. He was working when we met, but not long after that he quit his job and just lived off the Centrelink payments, or lived off me when I was working. And if I wasn't making enough, I would have to find a job where I was making more, so that I could buy him the things that he wanted, like his cigarettes and alcohol and things like that. I tried to leave him about 5 or 6 times in the years leading up to when I finally did leave. But he always convinced me to come back. He would cry. He would promise that he would change. He would just offer the world, give me everything that he hadn't given me in the way of emotional support, financially, all those sorts of things. There was one instance that he had moved out, and I thought I was finally rid of him, but he came home one night, sat on the couch and refused to leave. So we got back together. I kind of didn't have a choice. And I thought that that's how it was going to be. He would always make me come back and not give me a choice. I don't really understand it myself. I always thought that I was brought up to be a strong, independent person. But I guess abusers have their way of making you small. No, he wasn't always like that. The start, he wasn't like that. It wasn't until I'd moved in with him and got pregnant. And then he sort of started really manipulating and controlling. And it just, over the years, it just got worse and worse. it would get better for some time. Like after we'd break up, we'd get back together, and it was really good for a while. When he was good, we had a lot of fun. We could have heaps of laughs, and he was a great guy. But it just, those fun days, they didn't outweigh the bad days. And especially towards the end, there was never any fun at all. It just got really bad. Well, we were together for 18 and a half years, and I think it was around 5 times that I'd left him before the last time. Sometimes it was for a couple of days. Sometimes there was one time it was for about 6 weeks. That was the last time when he came back, sat on the couch and refused to leave. It was about 6 weeks that we'd broken up for, and that was great.
Well, 5 times is actually below average.
Is it? Oh, wow.
The average is 19 times.
19 times. No, I'm glad I didn't do it that many times, because I would still be there if I was doing it that many times. Yeah. When I first met the Ballerine Salvos was through my youngest son. They were running a program at the school. I'm not sure if it was through the school or if it was just run at the school, but they came into his life at a time when he really needed, his uncle had just passed away, and it was a devastating loss to the family. None of us knew how we were going to get through it, and Seth especially. But he had the Salvos. He had Pete and Di, he had you and Di, and it really helped him. And I saw what good you guys did with him. And of course, we talked, and I got to know you guys, and we hung out, and I came to different functions that you put on, and just started to think a little bit differently, I suppose. I was not brought up Catholic, but I was in a Catholic family. My grandmother was very Catholic, so I was christened, and I went to communion, and we did the whole, communion at Christmas and things like that, but I was never really a part of that church and that religion. It was just something that was sort of my grandmother's way, and it never really felt right for me. So I'd never really considered even thinking about God until I met you guys, and just seeing what you did in the community, not just as a religion, but as people, as decent people who just wanted to bring the community together and share love. And to me, that was not just a religious thing. It was just a human nature thing. And I enjoyed being a part of that. I liked being part of the community. And I guess I just started thinking about God in a different way to what I did when I was Catholic. And yeah, I guess I let him in without even really realizing it. And towards the end of my relationship, when it started to get really bad, where there were no good days ever, I found myself talking to God, and I didn't even really realize it. And I was asking him for help. I wanted him to, take my partner away, like off this earth. But I realize he doesn't work like that. But I think in my asking for help, he gave me the strength that I needed to just leave and never look back. And that's what I did. One day I picked up my children and we got in the car and drove off, and we never came back. And I don't think I would have been able to do that. I hadn't been able to do that in the past because I didn't feel like I had that inner strength to do it. And I truly believe that the only reason I had that strength was because I asked God for help. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Well, maybe I would have, but no, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have been able to. I was just never strong enough. I never felt like I was strong enough to just leave without a trace like we did, like we had to do to get away from him. I didn't have the strength, but I do now. And it's just because I asked for help. I asked the right person. It was Pete and I that attracted me to the Salvation Army community because of the type of people that they are. They're welcoming, they're loving, they're friendly, so easy to get to know. And just, I think one of the first times that I met them was at my son's basketball game. And they were so into it. Di was like jumping off her seat, cheering on, and I thought for a moment that she was going to get out there and start playing as well. And I'd known of Pete and Di and the things that they were doing with the kids, and this was before my son's uncle died. But they're just fun, happy people, and you just want to be around them. I didn't feel like, you find some religious people they just preach all the time. And I found that Pete and Di aren't like that. They enjoy people's company and they want to talk to people about their lives as well, and hang out and do normal things and go to basketball games and cheer and nearly jump out of your seats. And yeah, that's what first attracted me to the Salvation Army community, was Pete and Di. Well, we left, and it was really hard at first. I mean, leaving a situation like that is always going to be hard. We were scared, we were hiding, we were constantly frightened that he was going to find us. But we had nothing. We had to start again. The people that come out of nowhere and helped us, gave us furniture and white goods and support and come around for a coffee anytime. I was really humbled by the amount of support that we got when we first left, and still get now, at a year and a half on. We still get immense support from everyone, from family, friends, people we didn't even know. We got a washing machine given to us by somebody I've never met, but they heard through a friend that we didn't have things like that, and they said, "Oh, well, we've got one. She can have that. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Here, give it to her." So I was really humbled and so grateful to the help and support we received by anyone and everyone that we saw. I mean, we did seclude ourselves quite a bit because we didn't want to be found, but the people that knew where we were and the people that we let in were really, really great. Well, it really restores your faith in just humanity, in the fact that people are willing to just drop everything just to help someone, and whether or not they believe in God, or it's irrelevant. That doesn't matter. That we needed help and they provided. And I really do think that God was helping even up until now, right now. It's I guess if I had have known in the past, like earlier on, that I would have received this much help, maybe I would have left earlier. I don't know, but I always thought that I'd be doing it on my own, but I was never on my own. Never on my own. Now I live in a different town, and it took me a long time to get a job where I was, and it's difficult trying to feed 2 teenage boys on Centrelink benefits. It's very hard. I'd had a couple of jobs and they didn't work out, and I couldn't understand why, because I was good at what I did. You know, I worked in a couple of cafes and I'm really good at making coffee and I'm great with customers, and I just couldn't understand why wasn't this working and why was it taking me so long. And then I had a computer at a job network training day, and this job for the Salvos popped up. And as soon as I saw it, I knew, I just knew that that's why the other jobs didn't work, because this one was coming. And now I work for the Salvos. I got the job and it's great. Now I'm a Salvo. We help people who are down on their luck, just like I was only a year and a half ago. And we provide for those people, and we help them. And that's what the Salvos are all about. It's just helping people and sharing the love. And yeah, I feel blessed to have this job. I really do. I needed people like Pete and Di in my life to show me that I did have the strength to do what I needed to do, that I have it in me to help people in the same situations that I was in, just to guide them. You know, I'm not in the situation where I can give them furniture or white goods, but I can give them advice, and I can tell them how I got through it and tell them that they will get through it, that it'll be a hard road and sometimes you'll trip up, but keep going. It'll be worth it. I think they just need to get involved, to be out there and meet people and become their friends. Like Pete and I did. They just became my friend. And through their friendship, I found my way. It was just being, friendship. Just get out there and talk to people. Get to know people. That's all you need to do. Just open yourself up. Let them in. My life is amazing now. I live in a great town where community spirit is quite high. There's it's a big town, but it feels like one of those small town communities. I'm making friends. My kids are settled in. They've got plenty of friends. We just live our lives happy, calm, comfortable. We're not rolling in all the comforts of having a material life, like a material. We don't have a lot of things, but we make do with what we've got, and we're pretty happy with it. We're just really good. Really good. I can't stress how great our lives are now. We're just, it's amazing. I actually never thought that this is what normal is. And I still sort of kick myself every time I'm out having a nice night with dinner with friends or just going to visit my family. I see my family a lot more now. I see my brother and his wife and his child all the time. And I never used to be able to do that. It was a couple of times a year. And now it's more like a couple of times a month. And I just, and that's what normalcy is. It's what normal people do. It's what a normal life is. Being just able to experience things and visit people and do the things that you want to do. Open your heart. Just be happy. You can be. Just love everything. Love everything and everyone.